One of the most popular genres of anime is the Isekai. Well, there's a bunch of Isekais, but we're going to explain why ReZero is the best Isekai. But before we get into the video, please check out my ReZero content and future different anime content and subscribe to the channel. So let's get into the video. So there's a bunch of Isekai anime shows, and it really got really popular with the show SAO, Sword Art Online, and it really took off from there. But there's a lot of different isekais, like isekai, like Overlord. Overlord is like a perspective point of view of a demon, a bad guy point of view of an isekai. Then you got a strategy isekai, just like No Game No Life, and a fantasy dreamland, fantasy adventure of Kunosuba. But nobody has done it more perfect of being an isekai than ReZero. ReZero is the best isekai. And what makes it isekai? Well, you gotta have consequences if you're going to do an isekai. You're going to a different world. You would think it will do anything in your power, or anything in your power or mind, to get you out of this world and go back home, or solve an issue, or you should have a choice of you want to go home or you want to stay here after beating a final boss. And also, you gotta have a story behind it of why is he here. Well, ReZero did it because Subaru was not loving himself, basically. He had a lot of self-pity. He don't like himself. He says he's not great. He claimed to be something when he's not. He looks down on himself. But also, at the same time, even that with that storyline, he also helped Emilia. In this story about ReZero is about Emilia and Subaru, about self-love and giving confidence, encouragement, and believe who you are, and do not give up on the situation. Find a way. You will find a way, and that was basically what ReZero is. But besides that, it's about consequences. If you look at Subaru, he has the ability to have return of death. It is a consequence. You are dying. You're going to keep dying until you figure out how to solve this situation that is Subaru in, or his whole group is in beside himself, but it involves him, and he's the guy that holds all the cards, and figure out a way to solve any situation to get him on to the next day, to the next hour, to the next whatever, to keep them alive. Sure, some other isekais do that, like SAO. SAO is second best to ReZero. SAO is kind of like ReZero in a way. They have consequences. What I mean by consequences, back in the SAO season 1, if you fell off or you barely have enough health to continue the life of SAO until you go to the final stage, or the final boss, or the final room, you will die. You have true consequences, and that's what ReZero has, but SAO does have, but they're second best at it. It could have worked better, kind of like ReZero, but that's beside the point. Kunosuba kind of have consequences, but Kazuma keeps getting brought back by a useless god that does nothing but do water tricks and cries and get drunk. Does not really have much consequences. I mean, he keeps getting brought back because Aqua and the others are basically useless unless Kazuma's there to guide him and tell him what to do and defeat big frogs. That's not really a true isekai in my opinion. Yes, he's in another world, but a true isekai to me, and hopefully a lot of people, that you gotta have consequences to figure out a serious situation and get out of it. And that's a true isekai to me, to have consequences and figuring a way out and have a serious storyline. That is a true isekai to me. But there's another isekai that is called No Game No Life, and it's very interesting. It's a strategy. It's a strategy game. It's a strategy. It's about winning, but they also have a storyline that the guy and the girl, the brother and the sister, is trying to help this woman to reclaim and move up the ranks of her clan, to move up the ranks to be the most powerful clan within No Game No Life world. But it's kind of goofy. It's not really, has no consequences in my opinion. Overlord, terrible isekai. We're not even going to even touch on them. Overlord's the worst isekai I've ever seen. But SAO is just close enough to ReZero. It's second best, even though it was one of the first isekais that really went mainstream and actually did successful and actually took the genre really seriously, is because of SAO. But ReZero did differently than SAO and actually did perfect to perfection. They have perfected the isekai genre. by having consequences, but also if fruits. You gotta have an if fruit because the consequence, like what happens if you make this decision? Well, he stuck with this decision, but what if he made that decision? What would be the consequences if he did that decision? Just for example, like if he married and ran off with Rim when Rim proposed basically to him, what happens if he did that? Well, we have a if fruit for that. And so we see the consequences there. You gotta have if fruits. I think ReZero is the only isekai, probably the only anime that have side stories and if fruits and the original main storyline. I mean, they have all three. It's one of the most unique animes and one of the best animes in my opinion, but the best isekai because he has all three of them. They have the if fruits, they have the light novels, light novels, side content, short stories, the main storyline. No isekai has that. Basically, one of the very few animes that have all those things. That makes them really unique. And yes, every anime has their flaws, but they have the most least flaws. They will slide a character right in, and they have the backstory of a character. They have short stories of one particular character. That's all but them to give them background. They have consequences of each character, basically. Almost every character of ReZero has a consequence of their decisions. Each decision they make will have a consequence. Even Abel, Subaru, anybody in Arc 7 basically have a consequence if they have a choice of a decision. If they have two choices, well, they're going to have a consequence for both of them. The good consequences are bad. Each character has that. I don't think any other anime or any isekai anime has that. In my opinion, one of the very few, if there is not many, if they are more. And so if you take all those things, no isekai can measure up to ReZero, what ReZero did. Having all those things being the most unique and actually a true isekai. But that is just my opinion. I'm going to let y'all be the verdict down below in the comments. I presented my case. Tell me what you think in the comments down below of who is actually the best isekai. With that being said, leave a like at the end of the video, subscribe to the channel, share with everybody, but yet again, comment down below if you think one of your favorite isekai is actually the best isekai. But until then, I'll see you in the next video.